wait for me. I was waiting for him.
Recording in progress.
We need one of those action.
Ready, go. Here we go.
We are on the air.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Yarmouth Select Board meeting of January 13th, 2026. If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to start our 6 p.m. agenda item with announcements. Mark, do you have any announcements?
Nope, thank you.
Dorcas,
No
do you-
announcements.
I'd just like to let everybody know that office hours at the senior center with yours truly will be Thursday, the coming Thursday at 3 o'clock. And I also know that the library building committee has made sure that the plans for the library are there now for your perusal. Thank you.
Joyce, do you have any? Is Joyce back with us?
Not yet.
I'm not back yet, I guess.
Bob, do you have any announcements?
No announcements this evening.
Okay, we're going to move on to public. I see that Mr. Guerin has his hand up from the public.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Brian, thanks. How are you? I respectfully ask this board to not reschedule or reconsider its December 2nd, 2025 decision denying the proposed immigration resolution, because if passed, this board will risk appearing to endorse the lawless public comment made by a resolution activist predicting violence and the expectation that Yarmouth Police Department will physically interfere with federal immigration authorities, which would violate federal and Yarmouth laws. To summarize, Yarmouth Police Chief Lennon clearly states on the department's Immigration Facts, FAQS, website, in accordance with federal law, that the officers will not interfere with federal immigration enforcement, and officers may assist ICE agents to maintain public safety while specifically not enforcing immigration laws. Speaker number 8 during public comment directly contradicts Chief Lennon at the 1 hour and 25-second mark of the YouTube video meeting that if ICE comes to town, quote, it may come to a fight. It may come to a situation where we expect our police department to interfere with ICE arrests. Yes, I believe that may actually happen, end quote. Any appearance by this board of endorsing Speaker number 8's lawless statement would put this board directly at odds with the federal government and Police Chief Lennon's publicly posted ICE engagement policy. Appearances can be reality in politics. It is concerning that no one from the activist group who drafted and spoke in support of this resolution condemned Speaker number 8's statement, even though the law-abiding opponents of the resolution raised the issue during the meeting. These activists pledged to this board that this resolution would not affect police enforcement and that they met with Chief Lennon to discuss it. Yet the YouTube video shows Speaker number 8 received applause and handshakes from the resolution activists when he finished. By words and actions, this activist group appears to believe breaking the law is necessary to maintain Yarmouth's morals and values. Symbolism can be powerful. If ICE comes to town, this symbolic and legally powerless resolution may be used as a wedge to publicly divide this board and Chief Lennon, because to the general public, the board would appear to be enacting a legally enforceable bylaw allowing police interference with ICE. The Plymouth Select Board faced a similar situation last week. On January 6th, Plymouth activists essentially demanded the Select Board pass a strict government-wide non-cooperation policy with ICE. The Plymouth Select Board voted unanimously, however, to endorse Plymouth Police Chief Flynn's ICE engagement policy after listening to him professionally and thoroughly explain that cooperation with ICE is necessary to maintain public safety based on federal and Massachusetts law, which also echoes Chief Lennon's no interference in maintaining public safety directives. The Plymouth Select Board chair said he firmly stands with Chief Flynn, which conflicted with many public comment activists who harshly criticized Chief Flynn's ICE engagement policy for allowing any cooperation at all with ICE. In addition, the Plymouth Town Attorney indicated in support of the police chief's policy, one, having one single ICE engagement policy provides clarity to the public, as opposed to a separate Select Board policy and a separate police department policy. 2, this clarity avoids future lawsuits. And 3, the federal government may withhold funding grants if it determines that a town or city has interfered with ICE enforcement based on pending lawsuits. Yarmouth cannot risk losing federal funding grants because this board is relying on federal money to avoid a 2027 budget shortfall, as discussed during last week's select board meeting. In conclusion, this resolution is a dangerous distraction that causes public confusion about the police department's legal authority and role if ICE comes to town that may cause unintended consequences, especially if this board passes the resolution with a divided 3-2 vote. Instead, this board should follow Plymouth's lead and fully endorse Chief Lennon's publicly posted ICE engagement policy and explain the legal requirements and expectations that the people of Yarmouth must follow should ICE come to town and the penalties for violating them. Therefore, this board should deny rescheduling or reconsidering its December 2nd, 2025 decision because, if passed, this board will appear to endorse the lawless statement predicting and expecting Chief Lennon to risk his officers' lives by illegally interfering and fighting with ICE agents should they come to town. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to address the board? Mr. Wolf, go ahead.
Can Leslie go first?
I don't know.
She had her hand up first. I just, deference.
Please, somebody, please come to the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Deely, and I'm from Precinct 8, and I've lived in Yarmouth for 25 years, first part-time, then year-round. My late husband Kevin and I always loved the beauty, friendliness, and safety of our beloved town. However, over the past year, the emotional climate on the Cape and nationwide has changed. Our immigrant neighbors have been targeted by ICE and have had disruptive intrusions into their homes and workplaces, and aggressive removal, imprisonment, and deportation to foreign countries. Children have been abruptly separated from their parents. Most recently, ICE does not need to obtain a warrant to arrest people within their own homes. This unprecedented assault on people's privacy and civil liberties and rights escalated, resulting in the violent behavior by ICE that killed an American citizen, Renee Nicole Good, as well as 2 other shootings in Portland, Oregon. Due to the escalation of violent and assaultive behavior by ICE to capture immigrants, many of whom have green cards, work and raise families, and are working diligently towards citizenship, no one can assume that they are safe. There have been at least 60 such assaults on people who have been working since the last year, and even more remain unreported. If an American citizen can be shot and killed by ICE, this could happen anywhere, even our beloved Cape Cod. We can no longer consider ourselves safe as a community. I am urging the Select Board and the residents of Yarmouth to follow through with putting the Yarmouth resolution back on the agenda for adoption. The resolution has already been examined by the legal department and no legal problems were found. I ask you to look deep into your hearts and consciences and remember that we are all human beings who deserve to live safe and productive lives and to be treated with basic civil liberties and dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to speak on the hot topic, I guess. I don't know if that guy was a lawyer.
Identify yourself for the people at home.
Yeah, I'm Jim Wolf. I've been in Yarmouth Port for 13 years, and I don't know, I guess I'm an activist. I didn't think we were supposed to speak about other people, but I will just go ahead and try to keep my comments for you Select Board members. Yes, things are difficult, and I don't know whether I was the 8th speaker. I have no idea. He didn't identify the person. But I did make a comment about our police, and basically what my comment is, actually it becomes more important given what's happening now, which is we are seeing a lot of communities struggling with the fact that they did not prepare themselves for how far our federal government was willing to go in this situation. There doesn't appear to be any stop. And although I'm not going to talk about whether the Yarmouth police have a necessity to interfere with federal actions, I am going to say that if a Minneapolis police officer had been standing right next to the guy who took 3 pot shots into a woman's head, I would like to think that that person would have done something. So I'm not looking, this resolution is not looking for a policy change from the department. It's been cleared by legal, and I guess I believe that this is a time that our select board needs to make a statement. As opposed to a warrant article that is petitioned and gotten onto the town, it's not a bylaw. And I actually am here to talk to our selectmen, which is, I know we have 2 people who are dead set against it. I want it to be agendaized again so that with involvements that are happening across the nation, those people will again have to state that they don't want to, the reason from both of you ladies is basically that it doesn't have any teeth, it doesn't have any impact. The lawyer said we don't, there's no negative connotations of it, but you guys need to do it again, agendaize it just like you promised, and we need to hear you say it again, because if things come down the way they could come down, if you think you're avoiding taking a stand on this, you're wrong, and people will remember. And even though there were 13 speakers, there were 13 for and 13 against this petition last meeting, I think you'll find that out there in the town, there is a great preponderance of people, and I talk about that as a majority, that will remember people walking away from making a commitment to this town stating where it stands relative to possible illegal actions happening in our town, where you're not willing to, as a select board, get together unanimously and say, we don't want that to happen in our town. There's no teeth in it, but it's a statement of intent. And I'd like to think that I live in a town where if what was happening in Minneapolis last time happened, if I was there, I would do something. And I hate to think that our police would point all their actions and their prosecutorial powers on me for stopping somebody getting shot to death. So I asked, and Mark, you're included in this too, because you've taken a stand that we need to hear. Well, we've heard from the lawyer. I know we're not going to vote tonight, but I definitely think we need to get in front of you guys again. You guys need to discuss this again in light of what has been happening out there in the world. And this is something that we ask of our select board members. If our select board members are not willing to take a unanimous stand about this, well, it becomes a campaign issue. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It definitely does. There is no issue that is bigger in this land than this right now. So do not think that you're not going to get a bunch of people who are unfriendly to immigrants to put you back into office. The majority in this town doesn't have any problem with such a, legally approved statement on behalf of our town. And I just don't want to see us like Minneapolis and like a lot of other places. What should we do? What should we do? If there was good press on the Cape, I would call all of the police departments together and ask them hypothetical questions, such as if this happened and if that happened. Yeah, my time. I'm winding up. I'm sounding like very accusatory, but I'm asking 3 of you to consider this. It's absolutely essential that our town come together on this. We're friendly towards immigrants. And frankly, the 3 of you, if you can't, well, we'll consider you not to be friendly towards them. It's not, don't
make those accusations. You don't know anything about me, okay?
I know what you said in the last meeting, Ms.
It has
Post.
nothing to do with the way I
I
feel
know what
about
you
an
said in the
illegal
last meeting.
immigrant.
You said you didn't want to vote for it because it doesn't have any intent.
Have a
It
good
has an
night.
intent, and that intent is that if you can't find your way to it, well, guess what? People are going to campaign against
Good,
you.
let them.
Okay,
Have a
fine.
great night.
Thank you very much, and you too.
Anybody else would like to address the board? Okay, seeing nobody, we're going to go to our 6:15 item. If our IT team would like to come forward, that would be great. Thank you, Paul. All right. Anywhere you feel comfortable. I would just like for you all to be seen by the public. So we had the opportunity before to recognize a lot of our partners in public safety due to a terrible incident that happened in our community with a trench collapse and somebody losing their life. And what a lot of people don't know is there's a lot of communication and a lot of coordination that go on behind the scenes as well. And keeping people informed, I think, when something terrible happens is really critical. And it's keeping people informed when something terrible doesn't happen is also critical as well. But having said that, we have an official citation that I'd like to read to the public. The Town of Yarmouth Select Board official citation. Be it known that the Town of Yarmouth hereby recognizes the Yarmouth Communication Team. Lori Sullivan, which is our Communications Director, Marcel Longo, which is our Communications Assistant, and Paul Chaffee, I always say it wrong, I want to say coffee, I don't know why. Paul Chaffee, which is our Director of Information Technology, for their exemplary actions in managing crisis communications. And be it further known that the Town of Yarmouth extends its sincere thanks and gratitude for their comprehensive coordination and leadership of the town messaging in preparing and delivering crisis communications during the November 18th tragic trench collapse on South Shore Drive in South Yarmouth, by additionally managing highly professional interactions with local and statewide media throughout the day-long event, and the communications team brought honor to the Town of Yarmouth under the most difficult circumstances and reflected very positively on our community. This citation is approved by the Yarmouth Select Board and duly signed by the Chair on this 13th day of January in the year of our Lord, 2026. And we have one here for all three of you, so I'd like to give it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody from the board want to say anything before they leave?
Just a heartfelt thank you. Well done.
Very much appreciated. Sorry in the delay in your recognition, but you had your own night, which is nice.
Now, I'll add a big thank you because I know how important it is that all of the media get the right information. So it's so important, and you did it. Thank you.
Thank
And a
you.
big thank you from me, miles away. We count on you to get our message out.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, our 6:30 item is our second hearing for golf fees. And I see the Director of Golf here. Good evening. Thank you for joining us again. We had continued our hearing, our first hearing. And have we received any written or public comment at all, Bob, since our last? Nothing. We didn't receive any emails. That's amazing. Really amazing. I didn't see anything. Are there anything that's changed since our last? I don't know if we need to go over this again.
No, I mean,
Anybody need to be refreshed, or are we good with?
no, I think what we have to do is open the public hearing, right, and give the public another
It's
shot.
already opened, yep.
It's still open, so.
Yep, it's open. We continued it, so we will see if anybody from the public has anything to offer on the public, on the golf fees. Is there anybody here that would like to speak relating to the golf fees? Yes, sir. Please come to the microphone. Just a couple. Yep, just go to the, right. If you go to the podium and identify yourself, that'd be great.
I'm Peter Dunbar, South Yarmouth resident. I just really have a couple questions, not just mine, but I know I've talked to a lot of people who golf and who are members. There's a couple things, like the senior annual fee to play golf. While that's a great benefit, you know, to get it cut down like that, considering the average male lives to be 78, and this pass doesn't start till you're 80. And also, the year you turn 80, if you turn 80 in November, that pass doesn't even go into effect until November, and so I don't even think you get much out of it. A lot of other people are talking about the under 35 rate. We just don't know why they aren't at the full membership price. You know, it doesn't make any sense. There's so many people who are making a great living, you know, and get a really, really big discount. You know, a lot of us can't really figure that out. And another one that a lot of people were talking about was tee times for the members. I know Scott mentioned last week that there was an hour to an hour and a half, a few days a week for the white tees, which start on the back nine at Bayberry and then go over to the links course, which is great, but that's not a whole lot of tee times considering there's about 1,400 members. And so I don't really know why the tee times can't do what some other courses do, not all of them, and that's alternate tee times. And it doesn't have to be an all-day alternate, but I don't know why alternate can't be an hour first thing in the morning, go over to the public for the next hour, come back to the members for an hour, you know, at both courses. You know, I just, you know, don't understand it. And this is really what we're talking about mostly for July and August. It's next to impossible to get a tee time when you're a member, because non-members can book 3, 4, 5 days a week, a month in advance, and members can't until 7 o'clock, 2.5 days before, and by that time, then some of the tee times are gone. You know, unless it's 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon, which cuts into everybody's day. So we're not looking for a free-for-all, but we're just looking for a fair shake at some tee times, not all of them. And I know tee times are really the only way golf courses make money. You know, now I understand that. That's the one thing they do have to sell is time. You know, so we're not asking for a lot, but just a little bit more consideration. That's just from a lot of people I've talked to. You know, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dunbar, very much for coming. Scott, do you want to address any of his concerns?
Yeah, first off, thanks for his comments. We've had, this is not set just by us. We set the rates and then come to you with the golf committee, and all of these are taken up with the golf committee, and how we operate is much their say as we chose to run as much as we can. We offer many different ways for members to get tee times. We do not do the every other as other courses do, like you said, but we reserve many times for them through leagues, through other days, and stuff like that. Yes, we are a busy place, but member tee times took up 46% of all the tee times. So there's been plenty of member play. It's just, you know, we can't always say that you can play whenever you want. Sometimes you may end up at a 2 o'clock time rather than an 8:30 time. But there's always availability on the courses. We do reserve 4 days a week for them on certain courses. So we do everything we can to help them play, just like we're trying to get the public out there as well. So something this year we're trying to do is, as we extended Saturday and Sunday for another half an hour in the morning to get more members out there as well. So everything we're looking at every year is to help everybody get out there and play golf. But all this is taken up through the golf committee as well.
Is it typical that the senior annual pass starts at 80?
The senior annual does start at 80. That was something that we put in a few years back. It's something we can definitely look into. But I did want to share this. This is the member total and how it works around. So the senior only represents 108 of our members. So yes, they do get a discount, but there is only 108 of them.
Well, because they're 80.
Yeah, I mean, we are a retirement-based community, and we do have to understand that it is, you know, it's something we can look at with the golf committee, whether we want to change the age restriction further down. But as well as the under 35, that also doesn't represent a big percentage of our membership. So we do like to provide those discounts for the ones that probably do need it more than others. So.
Madam Chair, may I ask just one quick question? So if I get this correctly, if a member wants to play golf today, there's always at least a tee time available. May not be the one they want, but they will be able to play golf that day.
Yep, so they have the ability to book 3 days out in advance, starting at 7 o'clock. So it's a first come, first serve, and then there's always availability on the courses. They may not love the time they get, but we always have availability on the courses.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
not the prime time.
Correct.
But they could play. Okay.
All right, and again, you know, unfortunately, we've been through some tough times with golf that forced them to make a lot of these changes to make them profitable again. And as Mr. Dunbar has stated, it's, you know, it's a busy course, and there's a lot of members, and we're fortunate for that.
Although, I'm sorry, the one thing you did ask is you wanted to see the links and what that would look like back below the 5%. So it's currently at 375, and it would be at 390.
390. So that's that's something that that was recommended by the Golf Enterprise Committee after our last meeting. So that's the only change to the advertised, just for the people at home. So the advertised amount for the Lynx annual pass was at 400, and they're making a recommendation now that we approve it at 390, which stays within the, that's at 4% actually. Perfect. Great. Does anybody else from the public have any comments on the golf? Yes, sir.
I did forget to ask the question. I know there's a golf committee you folks work with, and that, you know, that's great. The problem, I've talked with other people, we never know when the golf committee meets. You know, and it might be on the website or something, but I don't know. I think some kind of signage in both pro shops to let members know there are certain meetings on certain days, and that way, if people want to show up and contribute, they can, and if they don't want to, then they don't have to. You know, I just think most people I talk to just don't know when the meetings are.
Okay.
You know, so.
And that's
Did,
very well taken. We had our communications team here earlier. We're working to improve our communications, so hopefully they hear that, and maybe we can blast it somehow in a different manner.
It is posted at both pro shops in advance, and it's the second Monday of every month that we meet. So we will do also,
Every month, at what time and where do you meet?
we meet at Berry Hills in the maintenance facility at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
But we will do a better job of getting out there through our email system and through help with Paul and his team as well.
Great. Yeah, because that's our recommendation is we have the Golf Enterprise Committee, which has done yeoman's work in terms of piling through all this before they get to us. Unfortunately, the tea time thing's not really an issue that's on our agenda for discussion tonight, but it's certainly something that is good feedback that should be brought to the Golf Enterprise Committee.
I have one question, Tracy.
Yep.
Can you introduce yourself? I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Ashley DeArmond. I'm golf supervisor at Bass River.
Thank you.
Joyce, did you have a question? Joyce, your hand's up.
In the meantime, I'm very grateful that you are hearing and will consider what you've heard, because when I was first running, that was a big concern, was not feeling like the visitors to the Cape got preferential treatment. So thank you, Scott.
Okay, I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, we have to roll call. Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
Aye.
Argo, I.
Joyce?
Lynn, aye.
I vote aye. The public hearing part of it is closed. Joyce, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask? Your hand was up before.
Yes, I just wanted to mention for the gentleman who was wondering when the golf committee meetings were, he can get on a list for that or any other committee through on the town site to be notified every time there is a meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Great. Perfect. Okay, is anybody ready to make a motion that we approve the updated January 6th membership as outlined?
I make a motion that we approve the January 6th golf fees as outlined.
Second.
Second,
Okay, all those in favor, roll call vote. Joyce?
aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
Aye.
Liz?
Argo, I.
Aye. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
you have a wonderful season. Thank you very much.
Let's hope the rain gods don't come too often this summer.
And again, we need the
Much.
rain gods.
Thank you.
Nighttime rain.
Nighttime rain. Yep, there you go.
That'll even save us money. All right, well, because we need to conserve, so can't forget that.
No.
True.
Next, we have a discussion on a vote for a representative to the Emmy Small Building Committee.
Don't you have,
No fees review hearing?
I was, just checked that off
so
already.
excited to
I'm
move
sorry.
on.
I was ready to move on.
Back up, slow down.
All right, annual fees, 645. I'm gonna read I know we continued it, but we didn't really have a
Right.
full discussion, so we're gonna reopen the annual fees discussion. The Public Works has reviewed the fees at disposal area after recent budget hearing. And do we have a public advertised? Hold on. Agenda items. The increases, okay. Notice is hereby given that 2 public hearings will be held at the Yarmouth Select Board meeting scheduled for Tuesday, January 6th and Tuesday, January 13th, concerning fee increases for the following departments: Fire, Public Works, and Waste Management. The Select Board meeting will begin at 6 p.m. in the hearing room at Yarmouth Town Hall, 1146 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Written comments will be accepted by the Select Board via email at selectboard@yarmouth.ma.us until 4:30 p.m. on January 2nd. Verbal comments will be accepted at the public hearing. Persons interested in the changes are encouraged to attend. And what we have are 2026 proposed fee increases. For fire, we have ambulance fees, basic life support. Existing fee is $1,200. The proposed fee is $1,500. We have advanced life support, currently at $1,800, proposed to be at $2,000. And we have a mileage fee at $30, which is proposed to be at $30. I'm not sure why we had to advertise that. We also have Public Works here, waste management, compost. Currently, there is no fee, and the proposed would be no fee for residents only, no commercial vehicles. And mattress disposal currently is at $25, and we are requesting $35 per mattress. With that, we will open the public hearing. Good evening, Chief. If you'd
Good
like
evening.
to discuss the requested.
Sure. So just basically, it's an update. Obviously, we haven't increased ambulance fees since 2021, and our costs to run the ambulance obviously increase every year. So I just wanted to address that. We can kind of just a little background. Do I have it? So for us, for the town of Yarmouth, our ambulance receipts result approximately in about $2.5 million net revenue every year. We obviously bill a lot more than that, but we write off the difference in that. A portion of that revenue is used to offset some firefighter salaries, and also we use that account to fund our capital purchases when possible. And the last increase, like I said, was in 2021, 4 years ago. The important piece for us is our payer mix. The Medicare and Medicaid portion makes up 67% of our payer mix. The rest of it is insurance, whether it be commercial insurance, motor vehicle insurance, or others. And then 6.5% is a private pay. And you'll see why that's important later, as the fee increases don't really affect the Medicare and Medicaid portion of our payer mix. So 67% of our of our payer mix doesn't really get affected by the increases that we make. So, like you had stated, we're looking at making an adjustment at the so BLS and ALS. BLS is basic life support. ALS is advanced life support. And those billing determinations are based on what care is provided during those ambulance transports. BLS is typically like a basic first aid, splinting, monitoring, that type of work, vital signs. ALS is advanced life support, so we do cardiac monitoring, pushing any kind of medications that we push, airway support, and other interventions. And once we get into those, that's when the billing rates go up for that. And we did not propose an increase in the mileage rate. These are comparables based on neighboring communities that our billing company uses, that also services. So you can see we are kind of on the lower end, or have been, based on our comparables on ALS and BLS. So we were looking to just make an adjustment there.
Can I ask a question why we're not changing ALS 2?
ALS 2 is more of a, excuse me, it's an intervention that doesn't happen for us too often based on our geographical distance to the hospital. That's more of something that happens for the departments from the hospital, where they have time to actually get into those interventions. So it doesn't happen for us too often. These are obviously a little hard to see, but just to give you some perspective, the Medicare and Medicaid rates are what they reimburse us for on ambulance transports. So a basic life support Medicare transport is in the neighborhood of about $520. So even if we bill the $1,500, we actually receive $500 because that's what they allow. On the ALS, and I apologize, on the insurance, other ones are about $1,200 under the HMO. So we write off that difference on all our ambulance transports. And these fees were based on like a conservative historical average of 3,648 transports, which we'll probably do more than that, but it's more of just so you can see the actual percentage in change, which shows. I apologize, I had it in front of me. Basically, an 18% increase average between BLS and ALS. 18% increase in fees results in about a 4.5% increase in net revenue. You guys have these in front of you, I think. You need to see them. So based on those just under 4,000 transports, the hard numbers, like I said, it shows almost a $93,000 increase in revenue based on 4,000 transports, and about an 18% average increase in fees.
What percentage of that do you pay to collections, the collection company? Is it 3%?
That exact amount I don't know, Tracy, I'm sorry.
I always feel like we're chasing our tail here. We never catch up. But
No.
We get a little bit more on the private sector. When was the last time that Medicaid increased their rate?
If anything, they've gone the other way. We're working hard to avoid that from happening, but their reimbursements are, they typically push to go in the opposite direction.
All right. Is there anybody in the public that would like to talk about the fees here? Seeing nobody, does anybody on the board have any questions? Mark?
No, I have no questions. Thanks, Chief.
No questions, Chief, thanks.
Liz?
No, I think it's all reasonable, and so thank you for keeping up with it. After 2021 being the last fee increase, it's time.
Thank you.
Joyce?
I think I'm fine with the fee rate raised as proposed. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you to Roby.
So because we didn't have this at our January 6th, are we considering this our first reading? And so
Yes.
we will continue this until,
February 3 with a new advertisement. So additional advertisement, continue to February 3.
okay. Do we need to make a motion to continue this hearing to February 3rd?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all is in favor?
Roll call.
Joyce, aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
McGurran, aye.
Margot, aye.
Post aye. All right, so we'll see you again on February 3rd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But wait a minute, we gotta still deal with this part of it. We gotta still deal with the other part of it, the waste management part.
Oh, I thought it was all together.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Jeff Colby, Public Works Director, and Roby Whitehouse, the Assistant Public Works Director, here to talk about fees. There were two that were advertised that were read that Roby can explain in a little bit more detail that we were recommending in order to make sure we're covering the cost of doing business, at least for the disposal area. But at last week's meeting, there was some questions about some other fees, parking, and that type of thing. And so I felt like we would address the ones that are advertised first, and then we have a response to some of the others for you as well.
Great, yeah, let's talk about the advertised ones first.
Great. Thank you so much. Again, Roby Whitehouse. Thank you, Jeff. There's not a lot to cover on that, except for the fact that currently the town of Yarmouth is contracting with LLC Green Mattress, or also known as GM Framingham. They have been a great vendor, and they are currently charging us $35 per mattress. This proposal is to separate the mattresses out from the bulky items to create a exclusive fee for mattresses of $35. So currently, the way the fee system is set up, our mattresses are lumped in with our sofas and chairs and box springs and all of these individual items at $25. Those other items outside of mattresses all go to the construction and demolition, and it is an adequate price for those items. But because of the Department of Environmental Protection's regulations to recycle mattresses, this increased fee is something that we're seeing across the boards for all of our communities. Because Yarmouth is one of the central repositories for the Cape, taking in over 3,000 mattresses annually, this company is very grateful to have a central location to pick up, and so they're giving us a favorable price. So they are charging us $35. Included in the memo gives you kind of an idea of what other communities, for example, mattresses are charged at $55 a piece in our neighbor in Barnstable, and $30 in Dennis, but I don't think that they're necessarily collecting a large amount from non-residents. As you'll note, their commercial fee is $50 for mattresses in the town of Dennis. So our proposal is to increase the rate by $10 with an understanding that we may come back to you again if FM decides to go up on their rate, because we want to stay competitive, but we also want to make sure that we're covering our costs.
Is that rate locked in with them for the year?
It is.
So we wouldn't be talking about it again then until next January?
Well, their price came to us on July 1st, so we would potentially look to recoup again. So we'll keep you all informed as we look forward, and I will be in continued communications with the company in hopes of keeping that rate.
Thank you.
You said these are they're picked up, so there's
Correct.
not a cost to,
It includes transportation.
oh, that's great.
Excellent question.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, did you have any questions?
No, I have something unrelated to this, and I'm just going to ask the board to indulge me. My dog loves going to the transfer station, and I just
about the biscuits?
and I just want to say,
I know all about it.
I have to do this because I neglected the last time. My dog loves going to the transfer station. When he goes there, he's always looking for the women on the staff. They're the ones that seem to be very dog friendly. And I just want to commend you, and please pass along, because I hear this from other friends of mine who have dogs, who love to take their dog to the transfer station. The staff does a wonderful job. They really do. And it's the only thing my dog gets excited about on weekends. So thanks for making him happy. So they do a wonderful job. But in terms of this, no, I appreciate your bringing this to us, and I fully support what you're trying to do.
Thank you. I will say there are a lot of residents who drop off those dog treats to us, and our team loves to get them, so.
Very good. So they're up to taking donations. That's good to know. So I'm happy to help out in that regard.
Thank you.
It's great. It's funny when they turn the corner, they know. And the funny thing is if they see they know even the people that hand them out.
Oh, exactly. My dog is actually, Max, is actually searching out the staff and
They're looking
checking
for
on
Yvette.
everybody. And when he sees the right ones, he gets so excited. It really is. It's unbelievable. I would recommend bringing Coco to the transfer station, Dorcas.
Well-
that might be a good.
I have to tell you, I do bring Coco, and unfortunately, he got so excited a couple of weeks ago that he literally jumped out the window, and we had quite an interesting time, everybody scrambling to get Coco back in the car.
Oh, wow.
But they did a great job, and all is well, and he's very happy to get his treats. Next time, I won't open the window for him.
I just wondered, when you say mattress, does it include a box spring?
Box springs will stay under the other bulky items,
Okay.
which would be the $25. So a sofa, a chair, a stuffed upholstered chair, a box spring will stay under the $25.
So it's literally just the top mattress.
Literally just the top mattress.
Very good.
I
Thank
just
you.
can't even stand the thought of a recycled mattress. I mean, every time you say the DEP wants you to recycle mattresses, I just, no.
Well, there's a little bit more to it.
Get a new sheet.
That's how he's making all the money here at town
Company
hall.
that we had before would not accept dirty mattresses, wet mattresses, soiled in any way. They wouldn't accept foam mattresses. What's great about this company is they take them all.
But what did they do with them?
You don't want to know.
I don't want to know. You're right. Joyce, do you have any questions?
I do not. Just keep those mattresses going
Okay.
rather than coming.
All right. So we are also going to continue this for a.
Do you want to talk about the other half of my ask on the resident-only portion of the compost, grass, and leaf area? I believe that back when Robbie Angel was here, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Madam Chair.
No, that's all right. I just saw no fee, so.
Yeah, it is no fee, but I wanted to clarify it because I think it's a point of interest. Back when Robbie Angel was the superintendent, he tells me that there was a board approval to not accept any commercial vehicles in the compost area. And we've really struggled. The team has worked really hard not to have anyone in there who is commercial. And we are finding more and more that we're getting landscapers to come in there and drop off their grass and leaves. And during COVID, we really struggled to keep that area a manageable capacity. And we, again, are struggling. And we're looking to have your approval to say just residents.
So what are the options for the commercial vehicles?
They can go to private entities such as S&J, Robert Auer, Childs. They can take those things, and they have to pay for that. It is not something that we don't charge for it at our facility. And what we're finding is they're bringing in much larger quantities than those who are just doing their own lawn.
So why wouldn't we charge for it, just out of curiosity?
We don't have the capacity for it. I
want
think
it.
that's really what the issue is, that the Department of Environmental Protection is also restricting our capacity and the amount of material that's on the site. They're requiring that we file a general permit, which means we can only have a limited amount per acre, and we're over capacity. So we're working really hard to get within that
Limit.
square footage.
Gotcha. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? Thank you for
I
clarifying
would
it.
just say that I'm sorry. Did I jump in?
Yeah, Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. Thanks again on the treats.
Dorcas?
No, I don't.
I'm sorry that we don't have the capacity, because again, we're trying to support our commercial entities, and our landscapers are a big part of that, but it's just a fact that is getting so full, and it's so sorry to hear it, but it's a reality.
Joyce, do you have any questions?
No, clear report, Roby. Thank you.
Point of order, do we need to make a motion that this be resident only for the compost?
Well, that's how it's
written there, so that's
the
okay?
proposed fee is no fee, resident only, no commercial vehicles.
Okay.
So we are going
sure we
to
get it right.
take a motion to continue this to the February 3rd meeting.
I so move.
Second.
All's in favor, Joyce?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
Aye.
Liz?
Margot, aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll see you on February 3rd, but we want to talk about your letter. Please.
Yeah, so I'll introduce this by saying, based upon the budget presentation, there was definitely a need to look at additional revenues to help support that challenging fiscal year that we have coming up. And there's a couple of different ways that can be done. One is through increasing the sticker over at the disposal area. So we wanted to provide some information for the board for what that looked like as far as a magnitude, and then whether there was an interest to look at that or not. So in the memo, there were approximately 10,365 disposal area stickers that were sold to residents in 2025. And so just to give a kind of order of magnitude there, a $10 increase on that. So right now we charge $162 per sticker. Going up to $172, that would generate approximately $103,000 worth of revenue. So that's really if you're looking for additional revenue sources, that's really the primary location for that, at least at the disposal area, is through the sticker. A relatively modest increase would generate that magnitude of revenue. And so you can do the math. If you're looking for $200,000, it would be roughly a $20 increase on that sticker. So that kind of gives you an idea, looking at revenue, what that would do. So we wanted to provide that information to the board. That's in here. Another item that came up at your meeting last week was regard to the beach parking. The board did approve a increase in the sticker fee for residents last year, but that doesn't kick in till this year. So we do want to let you know that it's already been approved, but there's revenue that we're not going to realize until this year as stickers go on sale. And in the memo, just to highlight that number, there were 10,835 stickers sold for resident beach stickers in 2025, and the expected revenue is in the $54,000 range for this fiscal year. So that's not something that was realized last year, but you'll see that in this upcoming cycle. And then the other piece is with regards to the disposal area. A non-resident sticker went from 192 to 250, and we do believe that of the 350 that were sold in 2025, we're going to realize that increase in this year, in 2026. So that's another approximately $20,000 that we didn't realize last year, but because of actions you've already approved, we expect to see that this year. So there are some additional revenues that we do expect to see without any additional increases. But there are some options in there that I mentioned previously with regards to resident stickers that could be considered. Again, I should mention that no additional fee increases have been advertised, and so that would need to be done going forward if there is any interest in that Is there anything else in the memo that you wanted to highlight, Roby?
No, you covered it all. The only thing that I would say is there is a comparison to our neighboring towns in terms of our residential disposal sticker. And you'll see that Yarmouth is neighbored by, right in the middle of two towns that have a substantially higher residential disposal sticker, with Dennis at 210 and Barnstable at 375. And the town of Yarmouth facility is open 7 days a week, where we know at least one of our neighbors is not.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
And when is our CMS contract through now? When does that expire?
We just did a 5-year extension. I believe we have 3 more years left on that
Okay.
particular extension.
Suppose stickers
I
and-
see that you have also outlined the possibility of abandoning the discount,
It's just just throwing the options out there.
and that could result in an increase of $20,000.
I think that it was a great benefit when it was originally proposed to have people purchase stickers online or via mail, and certainly cut down our lines here at Town Hall. I think it's done a great job of that. I'm certainly not, it's not something I'm advocating for. I'm just throwing it out there as options, things to consider. The other item that Jeff referenced that they didn't reference, and I threw it out there also, is the recycle-only sticker was a great idea when recycling had value. We have found that the cost of recycling plastic, glass, and tin has increased to well over $105 per ton. And that's something that we're not recouping at that $30, especially when we find that staff repeatedly have to mention to people that sticker does not include the disposal of household rubbish. And that's something we are constantly educating people about. And it's very frustrating for staff, because we're repeatedly educating the same people, and we're writing memos to those people as well, educating them on what their sticker is entitling them to. So
It's too bad we couldn't, I know the way the setup is, but we've talked about this before. It's, the way they do it in Dennis is the recycling separate, so they don't need to go by, and it's unfortunate, but that's a lot of work for your staff to have to maintain people that aren't being basically honest. Because they have to drive right past the household goods, and they go all the way down to the end where you probably can't see them, and they try to do it. If we had it separate.
they're watching.
I know they are. I know they are, and it's good, but it's unfortunate that they have to do that. I'm not even sure what number would make up for that. I mean, you want to incentivize people to recycle, which is the nice benefit of having the low sticker, but not for them to be throwing their trash away at the same time. So that's a tough one.
Daily beach sticker, is that beach parking? You mean regular beach parking that?
That's seasonal, so when someone comes just for the day, they're parking just for the day.
Right, so it is going to $25 this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did last year
Right,
as
it
well.
did
So
last
we
year,
did
so-
realize on the dailies some additional revenue last year.
Right, so as it stands now, at the, when you check in at the gate, it's going to be $25 for this season.
Correct.
Daily parking.
Per day, yes.
As it is now, okay.
All right, and so we didn't set them into the future though, right?
No.
So maybe we do need to consider doing something early like we did last time, so we have enough time to prepare for it, because we kind of said we wanted to do a review of all of them in January, but looks like we're already set for this upcoming year, so when do we want to talk about potential for next year?
Well, that's the interesting thing about stickers, is we purchase them and we make arrangements for the advertisement of sticker printing, usually between September and December, so that we have them in that window, so that staff have them for spring. So this is not a terrible time, but we're already there. We're already in it. So we would be preparing for next year. So same thing with the disposal.
I sure would like to have a hearing at least on abandoning the $5 discount and the recycling sticker option.
Abandoning it?
Yeah, as it says here. The $5 discount based on using what most people are using at this point. I don't know that we need it anymore. And the sticker option, which, as they're pointing out, becomes more of a policing nightmare than, so I think we should look at those things. When do we look at them, though? September?
So, but there are a lot of people that have a service for their trash and still have a recycling sticker to come to the landfill. There's a lot of people that utilize it properly. I don't think I'd want to abandon it.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. How does the board feel about that?
I agree with you. I mean, there are always going to be some that are going to test it as best they can, but we have a lot of in good standing residents that are using it properly.
I'm just trying to think how we can, I don't know. Maybe we need to increase it, but. Mark?
I'd be interested in any recommendations that come from staff and our team. I'm happy to deal with it. But
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Well, what I would suggest is that you've heard already the ones that have been advertised, the fees, and September is probably a good time to look at the other fees. We can certainly make some recommendations after we get through this busy summer season around the September timeframe. I think that'd be the way to handle that.
To look at September for the following years.
Yep.
Okay,
Correct.
that sounds
I
good.
think we're good for
You'd
now.
have a good review of, you're going to have a lot of information on what the current summer has brought for you.
Right.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I don't know. I like the discount to not have to come into town hall. I mean, I think a lot of people probably.
$20,000, though. That's a lot of money.
But then you also have to think of the staff time.
We
on
added
that.
staff to the clerk's department this year
Yeah.
for the 4 stickers specifically, right?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to answer that one.
So,
Transferred someone from treasurer right to the clerks that help with the sticker lines. I mean, there'll still be people lined up, but at least they won't be clashing with the people that are making.
do we know how many utilize the $5 discount? Obviously, if there's $20,000, we
have
can
that.
do the math, or I can do the math, but it seems like a lot of people take advantage of it.
Looks like about 4,000
Yeah.
were discounted.
wow.
That's 4,000 people that would be standing in a line. I don't know. I like it. I think it's an incentive
To come in,
to not come in.
to not come in.
To not come in.
Okay.
That's
I
doing
think
it.
if the number is that big, I think that's a significant number, 4,000 people. And these are people that are not coming to town hall and clogging up. I'm not saying that in a negative way, but they're taking up space and taking up a lot of time.
Okay.
And it costs money to provide that support. So I think there's a real value in having that. So I think we might want to give some second thoughts about doing away with that.
That's good feedback. We can look at the overall sticker price and keep some of these other things.
Yeah. 4,000 is a huge number.
All right. Thank you very much. So we will see you on the continued fees February 3rd.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very much.
Okay, I won't jump ahead again.
Now you can go and talk about.
Hi.
All right, next is a discussion and a vote for the select board to have a representative to the Emmy Small School Building Committee. So, Mark, when is it that they meet? Do you know?
Lately, the schedule is on Thursdays, usually the second Thursday of the month.
We have a meeting this Thursday, the 15th.
Yep.
What
It's at
time?
5 p.m.
And it meets usually around 4 o'clock, 4:30.
I was just trying to check the time around there. It may be 5.
Yeah, I think this one they might have posted for 5, but in the past, what's problematic for me is I'm at the college at that
school
time.
bus.
Yeah, and you're on a school bus, so 4:30 is a bit tricky. But that's the time frame.
And Bob, you go already,
Yes.
and the charge says that needs to be a representative from this board as well, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have anyone that would volunteer?
I volunteer, but I'm not sure that this body has that kind of support for my being on that committee. Or any committee.
I nominate Liz to be on the ME Small Committee.
And I'd second it.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, roll call vote. Joyce?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
Aye.
Liz?
Arco, aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Liz.
Congratulations, Liz.
You're welcome. I will be returning with reports.
Okay, next up is a discussion on our Community and Economic Development Department reorganization recommendations and the Community and Economic Development Committee. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you all?
How are you? Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for
It's
having
good
me.
to see you. How's your time so far going?
So far, so good.
Yes.
90 days in, and I'm still smiling, so I think it's good.
Well, you're still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
I don't plan on going anywhere.
That's great. Good to hear. I like it.
Well, thank you
Great.
for having me.
So we got you at just the right time. We have a lot going on in that department. And I think that, we all agreed that this was a great opportunity to really take a second look at what was going on. So I'm excited to hear, what your thoughts and recommendations are.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here and happy to give you my thoughts on my first 90 days and where I think we need to be for creating those select board goals. So this is for me, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
That'll
all
move
right.
you along.
Okay, so before I start, I do want to say thank you to the community development staff. They have been phenomenal during my first few months here, and they've been put through the ringer in 2025 with less staff and more work, and the MUC and the LCP and the Parkers River Landing. All of these projects have been moving right along as if there wasn't a blip at all in staffing. So the staff here is phenomenal, and I'd love to thank them for that before we get started. Okay. So for the people at home, my name is Megan Eldridge. I'm the new Community Development Director. And before I even started here, I was aware that the Select Board had a priority goal number 1 that was specifically related to my new department. Priority to fill the vacant positions and then reorganize the department. And also, secondly, is to streamline the permitting functions for small businesses. So those two areas of focus were the priority goals. So before I even started, I had been doing some research on what went right, what went wrong, and for these last few months, I've been really watching and learning and figuring out how to best move forward. So it all really settles down to the LCP. Your goals and the LCP really tie into each other. And these next few slides will show all of the goals and actions needed for my department specifically in the first 3 years. So the first 3 years of a 10-year plan include more than a dozen action items. So that in itself is a great feat for any department, never mind one with a missing member. The first goal is for the built system, and that has to do with the town planner and the economic development program manager to look at the Yarmouth Growth Incentive Zone. We go into transportation and connectivity, and this has an action of finalizing and collaborating with the commission on the Route 6A visioning, the village center improvements. Those are big projects that will require a lot of thought and input and collaboration with other departments and other state agencies. And then we have the cultural heritage and community character goal, And this not only has some historic goals, which are also within my department, but it does have some specific economic development pieces with public art, and we have 3 members on the Public Art Committee now, and we're hoping to get that off the ground in the next month or so. And this type of action requires expertise and innovation from someone who has experience in economic development. And then finally, we go to the economy, and this is a very big goal and has many, many actions. It's multi-layered, and the next slide is very busy, but that is intentional because it really shines a light on all of the actions that are needed to be taken in the first 3 years to get the LCP going. And some of them start out in year 1 and just continue on forever and ever. But in order to get these off the ground, we really need to address the vacant economic development position. So as I said, I've been here and I've been looking at what's worked, what hasn't worked, what needs improvement. Originally, this job started out as an economic development planner. That was the title. And it was an administrative support to the CEDC and also to the department and the town planner. I'm not sure why it changed at that point, but in 2017, it was reimagined as the Economic Development Coordinator. And I'm going to refer to it as coordinator because Economic Development Coordinator is a mouthful. It was a very similar job description as the planner position was, and it reported directly to the Director of Community Development. That position was successfully filled for quite a few years, and it seemed to complement the CEDC and the department and the town. It was a resource for the business community and the Chamber of Commerce. In 2023, that position became vacant, and I have been trying to figure out the reasons behind that, but I believe it was career growth. That position is at an entry-level salary, and there isn't really anywhere to go within the town. Once you have maxed out your tasks, you are a vital part to community and economic development, but if you are looking to be in economic development for a career, you're going to want to take the next step. And unfortunately, we lost a staff member to a greater opportunity somewhere else. But during that vacancy, we reimagined the position once again to a program manager, so an economic development program manager. And that came with an elevated staff salary, so that bumped up in salary, but it also bumped up in responsibilities.
Can you remind us what the bump in the salary was?
I believe it was a grade 8 to a grade 12. So it went up quite significantly.
Dollar-wise?
I
For folks at home?
believe it was in the high 50s, low 60s to mid 70s.
Okay.
So decent amount. Okay. So we have to look at the job descriptions of these two positions that we once had and then we currently have. When it was switched to the program manager, the reporting structure changed, and the program manager job description has reporting to the assistant town administrator. And it took away any administrative duties, so the CEDC lost its staff person. There was a loss of someone to do their administrative work and someone to really guide them and be that connection between the select board and the CEDC and the goals of the department and the town. The type of work, like I said, very different, high-level professional technical planning in the manager position, which is that big picture visioning type of person who you're looking for to fulfill your big goals, your big list of goals. You need someone with a little more expertise than what the coordinator position job description allows for. So with a coordinator, it was really great to have that connection with the CEDC, and they were really that link. And they were also responsible for maintaining the business relationships. They were that point person that the town would send to them, any new businesses that wanted to start in town. This position really maintained the business permitting guide and was the go-between for zoning and planning and building permits and licensing with alcohol and entertainment sort of things. And then the program manager position was never officially filled. So we've never had a full-time person in that role. And that comes to the challenges of why not? Why have we not been able to fill that role? It's difficult to recruit for a position that should be at a department head salary level with their job functions, their essential job functions and duties. It's always a problem for recruitment when someone's looking for a new job. They're gonna find one that's within their salary needs. So it's been difficult to attract a program manager at the salary that it's currently set at. We have had applicants, and we put it out there a few times with no joy out of those applicants. And we need to relook at the job description, and if that's the goal of the town, to have a program manager. So when I look at what do we really need, if it was a perfect world, we would have both. We would have an economic development program manager and an economic development coordinator, but knowing that we can't fill a second or another position, we can't add a body to our staff, I have created a position called a business relations specialist. Ideally, we would have another position separate from a licensing administrator, but knowing that we need to look at our budget and make sure that we're doing things fiscally responsible, I think a business relations specialist with licensing as a shared resource between administration and community development could really solve our issues. So in this situation with an economic development program manager, you would still have that big thinker, the visionary department head level that can rub elbows with the people that really need to make decisions on how the town should move forward, and a business specialist to do that hand-holding for businesses, for new businesses, for people who are interested in coming to town and don't know where to start. So why haven't we done this? Money. Money is the first and foremost reason why we haven't done it yet. Secondary is physical office space. We wouldn't be able to fit a second whole person somewhere in our existing office space. So that's why I've come up with this shared resource. This business relations specialist is already a person in licensing called a licensing administrator, whose job is very busy for about 4 months out of the year. Those are those renewal periods in the winter and in the spring for renewals. And although their time is well spent in those other 8 months of the year, I think if we can provide a focus on business relations and being that coordination between Chamber of Commerce, businesses, and the Economic Development Division would be very helpful. And logistics of this. So what would we need to do in order to make this happen? First would be job description changes. Those do take time. The Economic Development Program Manager, I would propose to elevate their salary to a more department head level. So it would come out of SEIU A and into SEIU B, which has more of a salary range rather than an hourly rate. And I would have this position have span of control over the business relations specialist. So they would have a supervisory role. That would make it more of a department head level if they had someone to oversee. It would also take burden off of the division director, the department director, as for having another direct report. And then the business relations specialist would need a new job description created. I envision it as a collaboration of the coordinator position and the licensing position. So they have overlapping functions as it is. So we would need to create a new job description. And I would propose to elevate it from, I believe it's an 8 to a 9 in the SEIU schedule because of the added responsibilities of being in the economic development role. Funding for this, I know everyone's wondering how are we going to pay for this? The Economic Development Program Manager position currently is paid for 50% by the general fund and 50% by the Tourism Revenue Fund. That's how it's currently in the operating budget. I wouldn't change that whatsoever. But the licensing administrator position is paid 100% by the general fund right now. And I would propose with the combination to pay it 50% out of the tourism fund. So it's really a net zero effect on the general fund. It does draw down more on the tourism fund, but we are getting a part-time add to staff basically for it while we're using that funding. So where does the Community and Economic Development Committee come into all of this? They are a vital link between the Tourism Revenue Fund and the town. And I've worked here without the benefit of a CEDC, and I've come to learn the value of having one. They play a really great role in recommendations and doing the research that there isn't enough time for staff to do. They can have that relationship with the businesses, and they're residents of the town, so they also have a great thumb on the pulse of what the town needs. The CEDC needs an engaged staff person, so I am proposing also to have the program manager be appointed by the select board as the chair of that committee. And that will give continuity to the CEDC, and it will guide programming so we can provide support in focusing the town's efforts and unite a common vision for economic development. This structure is used in other committees and boards. The Affordable Housing Trust has our town administrator as the chair of that committee. And having a staff person directly involved in the fiduciary responsibilities ensures accountability and transparency. Last slide. Short-term goal, we need to ramp up the CEDC. So I would love for the board to put out there the call for volunteers to see if there's people out there who are interested in being on the committee, to please fill out the talent bank form so we can start doing some interviews and filling the vacancies so that committee can get back up and running. Midterm and long-term goals are to hire those 2 positions and to fill those 2 positions. I know that was a lot of information, and I am happy to talk about the tourism fund recommendations separate from the CEDC, and I'm prepared to talk about those separately. But right now, if you have questions about this reorganization or anything related to it, I'm happy to answer them.
Excellent. That was a great presentation, a lot of information, but very succinct. And I'm going to ask just a couple questions with our licensing person sitting right behind you. Is this something that we have a personnel board, right? So any of the step increases would have to be approved by that. It seems like an awful lot more work for one step. And are we going to lose our licensing person, or is this something that's going to be welcomed by staff?
It's been talked about through administration, and you're right, there is a personnel board. I would be thrilled if it was more than a one-step increase to attract someone to stay in the position. Current staff has expressed an interest, but obviously there's a lot more that needs to happen before any decisions like that are made.
Seems like a lot more work for.
And I just want to add to is I know Amy's sitting right here, so it's great. I wouldn't say anything we'd say right in front of her, but obviously, the licensing administrator is a critical position to our town, and that licensing piece is absolutely paramount to the regulation of business in our community, and the select board knows all of the hearings and all of those issues. So our first priority is to stabilize that function. We have had a lot of turnover, and Amy's been coming along real quick, but she's still brand new as well. And so long term, we need to completely nail the licensing. And I do see some overlap, and based on the skill set, I am very, very open to working with the personnel board, talking about what some of the differences are, working with the staff, and seeing if there's a fit. I personally believe that overall business relations specialist, to have some of those duties expanded, maybe get involved in special events and things like that, could be a way of enriching that position to the extent that it's a more long-term position. One of the concerns I've had since I've been here, we've had 4 of them, and a lot of people have said, well, there's not enough, to do. It's not as, so it does need potentially some enrichment, but I think it's something that we have to build into, that we can't be, having all new duties until we nail down the existing duties. And we also don't have the ability to hire an assistant to that person to do the duties that, are more rote or not as fun. So, we're going to have to try to factor in everything. So what I'm saying at this point is that there are some real interesting synergies, right, that exist between the licensing, the special events, and the economic development. And if we can figure out a way to utilize existing staff to leverage that and not overwhelm them, I'm all in favor of it. But we've got a little bit of work to do to get there. I would say, maybe our shorter term goal is to try to get in place the economic development manager, and then work towards expanding, from there. And in that way, we can have more brain power at setting up the whole process. And I do want to say the idea of having the economic development program manager be a leader, right, on the CEDC, I think is a fabulous idea. And one of the key things that we wanted to do is create that unity of vision. We don't need another select board telling the select board what to do and what to set goals at. We need these teams, including the advisory committees in the functional areas, to carry out the select board goals. And so I think we saw a little bit of that there was some competition in what direction the entire town was going to go. And so maybe a little above the advisory committee's pay grade. And I think that if we keep the staff engagement there and establishing that agenda and moving it forward, that's how we retain that unity, the sense of common purpose, and not have it fragmented.
I like it. I like it, and I do agree that there's a lot of synergy. I mean, the licensing person interacts with the business community probably more than anybody else in town. So there's a lot of really great things there. I think, personally, having somebody who's the point person here in Town Hall for the businesses has been something that I've been pushing for years. You know, we talk about our tax rate, we talk about our declining commercial base, and yet nobody's really like helping businesses be successful here. You know, we need somebody that helps them when they come into town, what they need to do. You know, and we've tried it before, and even that person had their responsibilities taken and given to something else. And I just feel like if we're going to be serious about supporting the business community, this role is part of that. I also like the program manager being the chair. I've always had a problem because I think our goal has been economic development for a really long time. Obviously, a lot of what we're doing, I feel, is working backwards to us. We're seeing a lot of businesses struggling when we're really trying to help them in the long run. But having a CEDC that all they do is tourism revenue preservation funds, to me, I know that legislatively it's their purview to do it. But when that committee was created, that was not the intent of that committee. It was to really help our town find ways to help businesses. So I'm excited to see the CEDC get back together. I don't know how we do it, but I have had a problem from the beginning of the Tourism Revenue Preservation Fund that seems to be the only thing they're working on. Instead of, you know, when it first came, they wrote the motel bylaw. They were very instrumental in looking at actual things that could incentivize businesses coming to Yarmouth, and we lost that. So to the extent that we're able to get them to refocus back on their initial charge and do the Tourism Revenue Preservation Fund at the same time, or I've been trying to talk about a subcommittee or some other way where they can really get their focus back on trying to help us keep businesses, save businesses here. We've been talking about struggling businesses and trying to find funds for them. Like, if we had a committee that was able to really dig their heels in and try to help us on that, that would be great. So anyway, a lot of really great things. Those are my initial thoughts. But Mark, do you have questions?
Yeah, I do. First of all, I want to commend you for tackling this. This is not an easy discussion. And over the years, I've attended a lot of the Economic Development Committee meetings and have tried to spend time with the various people taking the position of the economic development staff. I have felt, just from my own observations, that the staff position was spread too thin. All right, when Kyle was here, he was the last one that we had here. Very talented, very gifted. He made himself available to do almost anything, and I felt that we spread him way too thin. We also, with the committee, the Community Economic Development Committee, we kind of did the same thing to them. They complained that on a regular basis that they wanted to do more than just tourism promotion fund decisions and work on that, but they also wanted to be more involved in broader economic development, but they complained that they didn't have enough time, that so much of their time was committed to their principal obligation of helping make decisions about how to use those dollars. And then we went through this period where we had staff changes with Karen leaving, and I think to some degree the committee sort of, I don't know to say they were abandoned, but they were kind of left on their own without adequate staff support. And then we saw some real frictions and some real problems unfold. So it's good that you're trying to put the pieces together. I'm interested in seeing more details. I'm interested in I think you're going in the right direction. The problem we're going to have is we don't want to institutionalize spreading people too thin or the committees too thin. All right? And I think to some degree we have to have some more discussion about how to allocate functions and responsibilities. I see having an economic development person as being critical to helping make more use of the CEDC. I think to some degree, if there's staff directed, staff plays there is a staff person assigned to do a lot of that. That can be very helpful and make the committee's time more productive, while also having another person whose principal responsibility is managing and helping administer the Tourism Promotion Fund and staying on top of that. So if we don't set it right, if we don't align the responsibilities right, we have, I think, a perfect opportunity to maybe force one or more groups to be doing too much. So I honestly think that if the licensing administrator or the licensing agent is also involved in this exercise, I think that job description I would recommend be principally targeted towards the administration of the fund. And I would be very cautious about adding too many other responsibilities to that position. I think you have to be really concerned, particularly with that position, with the licensing agent sort of being very busy during a part of the year. You want to make sure that the workloads are properly aligned, that the process and the time frame involved in handling the grants and the funding and the applications doesn't necessarily conflict or create a problem. And I'm not sure you can put those pieces together. It may very well be that we may want to try something on a probationary basis or an initial basis to try it out, see if it works. And that way, you could do it for a period of time and then maybe reassess. So I don't know if that's possible, but to the extent that it could be, I would recommend thinking that through, because what you might want to do is you might come into this with a certain set of ideas in terms of how it's going to work, but when you put it in practice, you realize, maybe there's some things we got to fine tune here. Maybe there's some things that we shouldn't put over in this bucket or this workload for this group or this person, but maybe we want to separate that out. So I would like to see more details in terms of the job descriptions. I would also be particularly interested in looking at a possibility of implementing this in phases. Let's do something, let's try it out, and then let's revisit it after a period of time, reassess, and then make a decision if we want to institutionalize it sort of full time. It's just that this work is so important. I agree with Tracy. We've spent a lot of time over the years talking about economic development. On the select board, I'm very big on heritage tourism. I think, quite frankly, this has to be an important part of what we do, both here in Town Hall and support, but also with the business community. The business community's engaged. And so those are some of my initial thoughts. Like I said, this is not an easy thing to do, and I think your recommendations have a great deal of merit. But I think ultimately the success of this is going to be based on really fine-tuning this, how we fine-tune this. It won't take much to overextend both the staff and the committees. So there's got to be a correct balance, because you're going to have two staff positions, and then you're going to have the work of the committee. And I think, quite frankly, there has to be a good alignment in terms of the workload for each of these groups. They have to be in sync. They can't conflict with one another. And the committee itself is going to get guidance from literally two people, right? They should be happy, all right? They should be happy getting staff support from two people. That should, in theory, enable them to be even more productive and help them fulfill this dual mission of economic development, but also making decisions or recommendations to the select board on how to allocate those tourism promotion funds. This has probably been an area of town government here in Yarmouth that's probably been the most challenging. And the way the last committee, the way they left, I mean, it wasn't really on a good note. It really, we have committees that work incredibly hard, and this committee did as well. And I honestly believe that the changes in staff, help make it difficult for them to do their job, and then we had some real tensions. So you've got a tough job in putting the pieces together on this, and I like what I would say your first crack at this. All right. So those are my just initial comments and thoughts. So thank you.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for pulling your sleeves up and getting right down and into the work. I think there's a lot of merit in what you're talking about. Like Mark, like we've heard from Tracy too, we just want to make sure that people aren't being spread too thin. And as Bob said, it's very critically important that when it comes to the licensing, that we get that correct. And then from that, take a look at others. But I like the idea of not immediately just saying, we need another person, but saying, well, let's look at what talent we have here in town. And having seen some nods coming from Mimi in the back, I so far am seeing that she's pretty agreeable to more discussion on this. So I will be very interested. Just a couple of points that I particularly picked up on and liked was getting licensing involved, having the chair be a staff member. I think that will help to give direction to the committee. Those things I think were very important, and it's a wonderful step, a start.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz?
Hi. Welcome to Yarmouth. I want to see if I've got this right, because you are relatively new to us, and you're taking, to some degree, stepping into the shoes of Karen Green, and your title is Director of Community Development. And under you, you are proposing that we look at finding an economic development program manager. And under that person, hopefully the licensing person could expand job functions to include being somewhat of a business specialist. So I guess what I'm curious to better understand where your strengths will lie as we add the economic development program manager. So and I think that what we're hearing is that this is the first effort at this, and I look forward to, in the next iteration, including you as part of the community development / economic development. Perhaps I'm misinterpreting?
I think, I think that her community and economic development director, so she's got more than just economic development underneath her. She has planning, and there's a whole, maybe if we have the
Org chart.
Yeah, the flow chart of all of her responsibilities. It's not just economic development.
That would be helpful.
It will help you see what else she
Yeah, well,
has
I
on her
remember when we interviewed and all of the different, my old friends at the old Kings Highway Historic, for instance.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think not just
Housing.
the fact that you're you're the manager on top of them, but what will you need to do as that person? Because certainly I know from Old Kings Highway, there's very little administration that you would need to do. They're kind of so those are my questions, is how everybody's, your functions along with any additional staff, what their functions will be with you as well. So that's my question about adding staff at this point. Although I am hugely supportive of commercial development, and Bob and I have talked about a redevelopment authority fund down the road. So I'm.
She had that up on the screen. I don't know if you read that. It's in your.
I didn't. I missed it.
It's one of the tasks that.
Very good.
through the
Oh, on
staff
the
they're
one that
gonna
she said was very
assess.
busy. Action, yes.
Very busy.
So I'm thoroughly for it. I'm just super sensitive, as we all are, about our financial position as we go forward, knowing what we're about to try to achieve in 2026. Thank you.
Joyce?
Megan, I appreciate the clarity of your reimagining the whole economic development team. And I'm delighted to think that it will go beyond attracting tourists. I think in your position, you're uniquely qualified to bring arts and historical interest to Yarmouth in ways that may be productive for year-round residents and year-round employees who would be able to work in town, but in the private sector. I look forward to seeing how this develops. And frankly, I don't want to lose Amy. So although I'm not in the room, I'm delighted to hear that she's smiling through this. Thanks so much for thinking of the positions in terms of compensation, retention, but also in terms of human satisfaction, because that's huge. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well said, Joyce. So I think the next steps would perhaps for us to look at some actual, maybe a flow chart and some job descriptions. Is that?
In a memo sort of outlining the reorganization plan. So it's at a subsequent meeting, we can take a vote, because we as a board need to vote to act on this.
Okay.
Am I missing something, Bob?
Nope.
Sounds great. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Well, thank you. That was great feedback. I have also the Tourism Revenue Preservation Fund without a CEDC. It's been put on my radar that we should really continue with allocating funds for public improvements and events and marketing, visitor services. So we have put out an RFP and had responses for the marketing, visitor services, and events contract. As you know, the Chamber has had it for many years. We put out an RFP because their contract expired, and it couldn't be renewed because of procurement laws. So we did get 5 responses, and we went through some interviews, and we're finalizing a contract. So I'm hopeful that on your February 3rd agenda, you will have a marketing contract before you for review and approval.
May I just interrupt? And that's for event specific?
That is the Marketing, Visitor Services, and Event Coordination.
Very good.
And you said that's the first I've heard that because of the chamber wasn't allowed to bid?
They were allowed to bid. Yep, they were allowed to bid.
So, I'm
They
sorry.
were one of the 5 respondents.
I thought you said that because of procurement law.
No, the procurement was their contract expired and had been extended so many
Understood.
times.
I'm
That
sorry.
you can't keep extending it because
I
we
misunderstood
just
that.
had to rebid it. And so we had that very strong participation from the chamber, and they've been great throughout the
Okay.
process. And so
All right. I
you'll be
thought there
hearing
was
a lot more
something I
about them.
missed.
Well,
All right, so we're going to have a vote and discussion on special event funding recommendations here that have been, I see 2 different memos.
Yeah, one's event and one's.
So just clarify for us, if you could, each of these memos has to be acted upon?
the 2 that you have in your packet tonight, one for events and one for public improvements. Yes.
Okay, so the events.
So to move this along, Madam Chair, I'd like to at least make a motion that we approve the recommendations for public improvements
Second.
outlined in the memo that we've
Public
been.
improvements.
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be the first, that's at
First one.
285,210. It involves a sign kiosk at Colonial Acres Beach. The residents there have been really urging us to take steps down there. They're very active in terms of the care and the upkeep of the property down in that area. Invasive species management, at $26,800. Spring and fall cleanup day, $2,050. Englewood Beach railing replacement and interpretive signs, $75,000. Irrigation at Parker's River Landing, $157,000. And fencing around an upweller at the Parker's River Landing for $19,000. So the grand total of improvements is at $285,210. So that's the overall amount.
And Dorcas seconded that motion.
Second.
So, the balance for this purpose after the 285 is still 189,000 remaining?
So
What's remaining after this?
So we would be, I'm also asking for a funding transfer to cover the shortfall. So right now, the economic development account, you're familiar with the buckets, I'm sure. Economic development bucket is overflowing. The last year has not had any economic development studies, so it will be refilled July 1st, but right now I'm proposing to take $95,585 to cover the shortfall. In addition, there is an open project that is complete, but that project in economic development has a remaining balance of $24,717.
What project is that?
It was several years old, old enough where there's no contract for it any longer, so I'm unfamiliar with what it was.
So it's remaining not owed?
Not
but in
owed.
the fund?
Right, not
Okay.
owed. It was an unused
Okay.
balance. And even with those two transfers out of economic development bucket, that bucket will still have $122,769 in it. And then for 2027, you'll see an article for gaining more money into that account so we can continue with economic development studies.
How many other applications were there that were not funded?
These are all of the applications. So all applications that I received, I'm proposing to fund.
Do we need a separate vote, Madam Chair, on the transfers, or should we make sure that it's clear in the motion?
I think we need to definitely make a motion or add it to the motion as part of it. But my question is, I guess, a little deeper than that, because the fund is set up to spend X amount on each item, so to speak, but does this still fall within the law?
It does. The law requires between 20 and 40% on public improvement. And the entire budget was $520,000. So it's just on that cusp of falling within.
Okay.
It's money left over from last year, which we didn't spend. We didn't spend any on public improvement.
That's so odd. I mean, wasn't there a whole list of items that didn't
There-
get funded in the past? I'm just surprised to
I
not
don't-
see any of them.
Public improvements, no, they didn't fulfill in the past the obligation for public improvements. They did it at a very minimal, and most of the funding was for the special events. So now with some funding left over, we're able to kind of put a couple of years together and get some nice improvements done. And I think all of these will reflect very well, for local residents, especially that use these.
So, Mark, will you amend your motion?
Yeah, I'm going to amend my motion, Madam Chair, that the motion includes the recommended transfers outlined in the January 7th memo that
Second.
So there's a motion and a second on that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor, roll call. Joyce?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Argo, aye.
Aye. Liz?
Argo, aye.
Post aye. So
So-
that passes unanimously.
So, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion regarding the recommendations for funding for events outlined in the January 7th, 2026 memo to the board, and that we approve those recommendations, and I'll just go through them real quick. Cape Cod Community Orchestra, Inc., at an amount of $3,000. YD Red Sox for marketing, $8,000. Historical Society of Old Yarmouth for spring, summer, and fall events, $6,000. Yarmouth Town Library's summer reading program, $4,000. Taylor Bray Farm, the Sheep Festival Fall Festival event, $5,000. Seaside Festival, $20,000. Yarmouth Historical Commission funds for the Patriot Monument dedication, celebration and activities, $50,000. Cape and Islands Veterans Outreach Center, The Wall That Heals, $25,000. Cultural Center of Cape Cod, marketing for 2026, $25,000. And the second Summer Cycle Annual Charity Bike Ride, 25,000 for a grand total of 171,000.
Second.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say about that?
All the organizations were interviewed as part of the process. Some were fully funded and many were partially funded. We did fund partially all organizations, so there weren't any events that were completely denied funding.
Is the St. Patrick's Day Parade a separate funding?
Yes.
That was already funded, right?
Move that under the select board budget.
Okay.
And so much of the costs were the public safety related.
Okay.
And I am holding back about $10,000 in this bucket in case something were to come up, especially with the 250th anniversary of Yarmouth's independence. There may be some unexpected costs that I don't want to have no funding for, so.
So what will happen in that case? You have to come back to us, or should we?
Perhaps we'll have a CEDC by that time, and then it could go on a consent agenda. But yes, you would need to review.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
No, I appreciate the reserving the amount and being noteworthy, being constant, aware of the anniversary. Something else could happen. Something else could come up. I would love to see a lot more events on the Cape to recognize the 250th anniversary. There's just so much history here on the Cape, and we're just not doing nearly enough.
And we are very, very fortunate to have the Wall That Heals come to the town of Yarmouth. That is a major accomplishment for the Cape. The Cape and Islands Veteran Outreach Center, when I interviewed them, they said they were one of over 150 applicants to get this moving wall to be a part of their organization and their events for the year. So Yarmouth got it, which is amazing.
Well, we have the perfect space for it. So
We do.
it's going to be great. All those in favor? Roll call. Joyce?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Lucas?
McGurran, aye.
Argo, aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you for all your work on that.
Thank you. You're welcome. And
Appreciated.
I'm in the hot seat, so if you have any questions, I'm here.
Yeah, great work, Megan. She's a delight to work with, too, and a great leader. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you, Amy, in the back.
All right. Our next item is a letter of support for the proposed legislation related to the Title V
no.
tax credit.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes.
Madam Chair, I move that we endorse the letter of support for House Bill H. 4082, an act relative to a refundable Title V septic system tax credit as prepared for the board in our packet. And I noticed that the letter is addressed to the Honorable Adrian Madaro, Attention Anestis Calicitas, who used to work for me for many years. So it's nice to see former employees in the right places.
I second that.
Okay.
So thanks, Liz, for I'm assuming you drafted this.
I did one, and I sent it, and I was immediately told I was an hour late for the
Effort.
Friday, but they were almost identical, so.
Okay, good.
Thank you for the congratulations.
Thanks, team.
All right, so people at home, they can look up the House Bill 4082.
And again, the legislation is designed to provide a refundable Title V septic system tax credit for those that are of low to moderate income and are looking for a tax return. And a tax credit just isn't going to provide enough relief. Having a refundable tax credit could be a huge help financially.
Yeah. Spread out over years, too.
All those in favor?
What's not to love?
Right?
There you go.
I like tax credits.
Okay.
All those in favor? Joyce?
Aye.
Aye.
Forrest, aye.
McGurran, aye.
Argo, aye.
Aye. Okay. Woo, board and committee actions. Joyce, you ready to roll?
Well, they have been postponed until my return.
Okay.
We have a number of renewals coming up, but you don't want to hear those long distance.
All right. So, I got it. I got it.
Sorry.
We have February 25th, 2025 here.
I move that we approve the minutes of February 25th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion on those? All those in favor? Joyce?
Aye.
Dorcas?
Aye.
Liz?
Argo, aye.
Aye. Okay. We have our upcoming agenda review, which is, let's see, February 20th, we have no meeting, so February 3rd, we just put the hearings back on there for the annual review. Liquor license, we have liquor license, annual fee hearings, building committee with Dr. Smith, I think he said he was available that day, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Presentation for conceptual design plan for the MUC, which is great. Recreation field study, Weston Sampson. That's new.
Busy night.
I know. That one we must have just added. Hazardous mitigation plan. Parkers River policy for managing park use and school feasibility. Okay.
We're working on the Parkers River Landing. It's not a finished project, so if it gets too tight and we need to move something, we can move that one.
The Parkers River?
Potentially, yeah, for the next meeting, because I know that's a work in progress and everybody's straight out doing everything, but it's very important, so we wanted to keep it on there to kind of keep the pressure on it, but if we did the next meeting, we'd still be in good shape.
And I saw they put something about the hazardous mitigation plan there on the table. I saw Kathy come in, and is there a timeline on that as well? I'm not sure how long each one of this looks like a lot.
The hazard mitigation plan is very extensive, I would have to say.
I just have to double check on the timing, because one of the things is we need to make sure that we stay, it's one of the ones that's tied to the eligibility for the grants and stuff, that we're very hitting hard. So just want to make sure that whatever we do on that, we're in good shape.
The liquor license hearings are probably going to be pushed to the 24th too, just so you know.
Okay.
Bass River
All right,
and
good.
Bayberry Hills.
Yes.
Okay. Then we're off. 20th,
Notice
and then
that
we're
the
off.
February 10th is no longer a board meeting.
So do we go to February 24th then?
Yeah, that would be the next one.
February 24th.
One thing that we had talked about, making sure that we didn't lose track of it, was the seasonal community discussion.
That's right.
Well, we're waiting for the state to come out with the final regulations on it, so I think it would be helpful to probably have that once the state.
Towns just turned it down. Didn't I read that?
What's that?
I thought one of the towns just rejected it. I thought I read something about that.
No, that wouldn't surprise me. I think what's happened is I think there are a number of communities that are concerned about the heavy-handedness of some of the state's regulatory actions, and but ultimately that we will have to make a decision about bringing this to town meeting.
Town meeting, exactly. So I think it's going to come up when we go over the town meeting stuff.
Right, when we do the warrant, it'll come up, because we'll have to talk about an article and what it all means. So that there's no escaping that. So, but what we don't know is we don't know the final rules and regulations on it and how it's going to be governed.
Okay.
And also, for anybody who's keeping track, Joyce, March 10th is no longer on our calendar, nor is March 24th.
March 10th is right here.
I'm sorry, March 3rd is no longer.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So that means I could come back to California March 3rd, huh? Just stay?
And instead of March
As long as you're back by the 10th, Joyce.
Oh, okay. Dorcas, you killjoy.
No, I know, I'm sorry.
So when's Joyce coming back?
She'll be back for our next meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, I get back tomorrow night.
Have a safe trip.
Oh,
Well,
thank
February
you. I will
3rd,
do my best.
there's-
The pilots rarely take my advice,
know,
but
but I'm
I'll,
just-
I'll tell them that Dorcas requested.
There's no room for anything on February 3rd, so.
No.
Anything else, well, you can discuss at February 3rd for upcoming.
That's what I would suggest.
I did notice, though, Bob, just for the sake of bringing forward the same notes, we did talk last board meeting that we would talk about managing the parks on April 7th.
It's on here. It's on for February 3rd.
Wait a minute.
That's just Parker's River, isn't it?
Done.
Yeah, that's the Parker's
that-
River.
Made two of
That
them,
was the one
remember?
we moved to April 7, wasn't it? That managing using park, the
Yeah,
policies,
we made it
but,
two.
but the idea of, it was a broader discussion.
Right, so that's why that would be on April 7th.
Wait a minute, didn't we see it somewhere else? I thought I read it.
All of a sudden it dropped off somewhere, 'cause I don't see
Oh,
it.
it was here.
Yeah,
We need to put that back on.
Yep.
it'll put on April 7th.
April 7th, Parks. Parks. Okay,
Okay,
all right, consent agenda, individual items.
I have an individual item.
Go ahead.
I've been trying to get the code read to sign up for it with very little luck for months. And apparently now it's down, it's not functional. And that seems like the kind of information that would be on our website. So I guess I would request some discussion on that. When we have things that aren't working, or that's a notice that I would appreciate understanding why I keep trying to sign up for it and I can't.
Well, actually, it's a bigger discussion than that. If it's down, does that mean it's not working? We have no process of which to notify our public in
There's
case of an
911.
emergency?
I believe that's the
I
problem.
think it's only temporary.
It is temporary, but
Isn't it an IT issue?
no, it's.
Yes. Yeah, they're just having a problem that they're updating some gear and it'll get back up. I don't know why Liz couldn't sign up for it. Maybe that's something, it's a question for somebody smarter than
None of the
me.
links work. And when I asked Paul about it, he said it's a police department issue.
Okay, well, we can certainly check that.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just trying to make the website be a place where you get information. And that would seem to me to be information.
So you're continuing to put it in and nowhere it's saying it's down? It doesn't tell you?
Correct.
Oh.
You just go to a broken link.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Aren't they hacked?
Yes.
Yeah,
Code Red was hacked.
yeah, I'm glad we talk about the website. There's always a need to make sure that there's stuff that's on it that's working. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
when
and
there are
two-
problems that you
two
keep
links
flagging.
don't work, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to attend the select person's page, because according to that page, I'm out. I didn't get reelected, so.
Oh,
You all.
You had us
wish.
fooled.
Well, that's all being updated. I think, I'm surprised you didn't get your email yet requesting your information. They're outreaching you to get a little more personal information to, get the whole website redone for that part of it.
It is much better.
You guys have headshots too, right? We want to get a headshot and some biographical information for each select board member. So I thought you already got your email. I don't know why that was delayed, but that's something that start thinking about, because that'll be coming out any minute. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
Oh, and for people going to MMA, we could get our headshots there.
Yeah, if you need a headshot, you can get one.
all right. Is any other items, Liz?
No.
Dorcas, you have any items?
No.
Mark?
No.
Joyce?
Nope.
Okay. Bob?
Okay, you want to do the consent first?
Yep, consent agenda. We have one thing in our packet here for a fire department donation totaling $30.
I move the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Joyce?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
McGurran, aye.
Argal, aye.
Aye. Okay.
All right, great. I had a couple of items I wanted to just call to your attention. I spent last Thursday, along with the other Cape Cod town managers, getting a briefing from the Mass DOT officials on the bridge projects, and it was really quite fascinating. And I know they had a recent article in the newspaper that was very helpful as well. And one of the things that, I was real surprised to learn that that project's actually going out to bid by the end of 2026. So it's really fast track.
It is.
And what I wanted to say is that, so I met all of the key transportation officials that are responsible for managing that project over at the Mass DOT. And if the select board likes, I know, the next meeting or two are very, very busy, but I can arrange to have a briefing on the bridges for the select board. It's something, maybe think that over, and we can, if you'd like to do that, we can outreach them. And, they've offered to, they like to have the public outreach, and I thought this would be a nice thing to get that on video, so.
Just so that you know, Bob, we, at the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association, we've had them in like every 6 months or 12 months to come in and brief.
That's great.
The association, and we've had managers show up at those meetings. The last time we did it, I think it was about 6 months ago, at the Center for Active Living in the town of Sandwich. They're renaming senior centers. I don't know if you know that. They're centers of active living.
Active living.
Instead of senior citizens centers.
Especially if seniors are 80 years old, my God.
So while we're talking about the leadership association there, the Cape managers and the superintendent of schools and the select board's leadership association is working on an initiative to request from our legislative delegation an earmark of $250,000 in the state budget for a comprehensive school enrollment projection analysis. There's just so many issues that are facing this enrollment, and I saw the article Mark had sent out. I thought it was real interesting. Statewide declines, but the declines on Cape Cod are staggering. I mean, very steep declines in educational enrollment in our public school systems in just about everywhere except Yarmouth.
And except tech schools.
And not the tech school, but just the overall schools. And so these are critical issues. And as we're all, contemplating the facilities, you've got towns closing facilities. You've got towns that are scared to close facilities. You've got towns that are looking to build new facilities. There's a lot there. And so I think it would be great to have a real detailed analysis of what's happening with school enrollment. And maybe it will even spur some additional regional discussions about how to handle that regionally. Like if there's one town that's growing and one town that's declining and they're contiguous, those are things that really factor in, and we've seen some of that in our communities. So wanted to make you aware of that.
Just curious, though, because the MSBA has its own process for
Yeah.
determining.
This came out of a talk that we had at our last Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association, the fact that the enrollment projections that the state's using for making decisions on school buildings appears to be at odds with some of the local generated information. Right, so the idea would be to find a way to drill down into some of the more localized data to get more accurate projections, because it's been at least experience of some of the managers that these numbers can be revised if there's better information, better
They
data.
will take that data from
Yes.
elsewhere? Okay,
Yes.
I was under the impression that that's the data that they use, and that's kind of what they have to
Michael
go with.
Dutton, the county administrator, had mentioned at one of our meetings that on the vineyard in one community, they had revised the numbers based on some locally generated information. At the Cape and Islands Selectmen's Association, or the Leadership Association meeting, there was an extensive discussion from most towns represented that they're concerned about the state's data, enrollment data, not matching up with what we're seeing here on the Cape. And I think we've mentioned that. I've mentioned that. We've talked about it as an issue, that we have to address. So in any event, the superintendents, Cape and Islands municipal leaders, the managers, so it'll be a joint letter from all three groups calling on the legislators to help us have some money set aside
But in
to do.
terms of timing, I mean,
How can I help us with this?
I know, I mean.
Maybe not immediately, but I think one of the things, this MSBA thing has really made very stark the realization that there's limitations, that we don't have enough data to kind of act as a region and deal with these problems. So number one, a study like this could do a deeper dive and get better, more accurate assessments. But I think even more importantly, instead of just doing it for Yarmouth, to do it as a region so that we can identify these issues by town, I think will help us, better address this kind of on a regional basis too. So it's not going to solve all of your problems on the ME Small School, but I think a lot of us, in different communities have had the same experience that we've had, that different projects, different decision points have sort of highlighted problems with the methodologies and data that we have in place, that there really isn't a significantly comprehensive analysis that's been done. And MSBA doesn't do that. They do sort of a cursory methodology, community by community, based on project to meet their funding needs, which is helpful, but it's really not the demographic analysis that we need for, like, I don't know, future policy making beyond what's going to happen with the ME Small School. And plus, if this thing could kick off, that, maybe the data could come in time to, do something.
Well, the thing to keep in mind is the county has spent a significant amount of money in developing a regional affordable housing strategy, and a lot of that money was spent generating data, information on housing trends. So we have a head start. We have a leg up. This is information that can be utilized for this kind of work. So, and in fact, there are people here in Yarmouth that are already mining the county's data and looking at it and trying to make comparisons and reconcile things. So there's already been some attempt to utilize some of that information, but we need to have a more targeted and more robust effort to do that, rather than relying on individuals to sort of do their own analysis and their own calculations. So it may be that we work with UMass, the Donahue Institute, some of the groups that have already worked with the Cape Cod Commission on some of this stuff, and help collect this information. So, as Bob said, I think this is definitely worth doing, and we have a head start in terms of getting a lot of this work done.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not worth doing. I definitely agree with that. I just don't, I'm just worried about the timing.
Yeah, and again, it's not geared specifically towards the ME Small, but it's one of those
Do it.
light bulb moments when you see what the data is, and then you recognize, look, we really don't have our handle on this.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mark. Very much appreciated. Listen, I just want to make sure you guys are aware, as sort of that, you've indicated when we had the initial muck report, and they're coming in again, I think, the next meeting to really hone that down. And in the meantime, Amy and I have been working very hard directly with the Mass Development, and we're in the process now of interviewing potential candidates to kick off that market feasibility study for a potential recreational facility that will come in and implement some of the recommendations that are in front of you now. And so we'll be reporting more on that at your next meeting. But I want to make sure you guys were aware of that. We're not sitting on our laurels. We're lining up the economic analysis that's needed if we're going to pursue potentially these projects. So the leadership between, exactly like we described it, the MUC committee, and moving to the implementation stages, we're making that a seamless process and working on it now. And I'm not going to go into this now, but later, we can talk a little more. We talk about the budget and a lot of these issues, and the increases in the overhead items that are of particular concern, and specifically the health insurance is a real key one. I just want to, for now, let you know that we're having the big part of the health insurance cost increases are involved in astronomical, like historical increases in prescription drug costs. And I'm working personally very closely with the provider, that Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, to analyze comprehensively the formularies and all of the details that a lot of people don't know that much about on the whole issue of the prescription drugs, what the costs are, and we've initiated one change already that we estimate will save between 10 and 13% in 1 year on total prescription drug costs by adjusting the formulary to push the same chemical drugs, right, that have lower costs versus the ones that are higher costs. And that's going to be very helpful. And the topic I just want to make you aware of is the impacts specifically on that GLP-1 class of drugs when they're used for weight loss only. These are the Wegovy's and the Zepbounds. It is astronomical. And there's a movement across the state to not cover them just for weight loss, only if there's underlying, medical issues. But it may be possible to establish discount programs that if people want to have access to those for weight loss only, that they'll be available less than the retail cost. And, that may be a way to save up to 5% of health insurance costs every year, which for us, that's like $1 million and, or almost. And so at any rate, I just wanted to let you know that there is a sort of a comprehensive analysis going on that's geared towards analyzing those costs. Your town has leadership in that, and I'm one of the key people that help study it, and we'll bring back the results. But what I'm looking to do is preserve people's access to care and those specific drugs and every other drug, but to do so in a way that doesn't shift the burden of cost onto every single person and make the towns go bankrupt at the same time. So I think there's a way of doing it all and helping people, because I know there's a lot of people that taking those more and more. I hate to tell you this, but I'm looking at the data, and within 10 years, 80% of us are going to be eligible for those drugs because we're all so overweight. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
And so it's something that needs to be managed. But I just want to make you aware of that. We can do a deep dive on discussions like that at a more appropriate time. But I thought with all of the discussions you may be hearing about prescription drug changes, and I just want to make it clear, no one's getting rid of prescription drug coverages, but the management of that. We never had to manage it that close, but when they're going up 20, 30%, and it's millions of dollars. So that's all I had for.
I have a question for Bob, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the wonderful return to the fairness resolution, and can you just touch on that in terms of what you got back from legal? Do we need anything more from legal? Where are we? Because clearly there are people who are hoping that it's going to be back on the agenda.
Well, we requested the legal work, and so I sent around all of the legal information, and you folks had that. So I think it's just a matter for the board. I don't really have any more input on it.
What about Mark? Because Mark, you were the.
We can't discuss it. We can't, it's not on our agenda. We can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we could, we can,
Address it offline, perhaps, because.
no, we definitely can't address it
No,
offline.
I meant
But
Mark-
at our next meeting,
Mark could address it if he has anything else he needs. And I'll put it back on the list. Thank you.
is there anybody else that has anything else? All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We'll have to take a roll call.
Second.
Joyce?
You have a second?
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Hi.
Hi. Liz seconded the motion to adjourn. Are you in favor of it, or would you like to stay with us a little longer?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Mark?
Aye.
Dorcas?
McGurran, aye.
Liz?
Margot, aye.
Aye.